For those of you who might not know me yet, I am Tanya Albornoz. I'm the coordinator for the prevention team here at USBE, and I work with the amazing prevention team. Also with us, I hope, is Chris-Ann Lewis, who is the coordinator of the Student Services and Behavior team. And we want to recognize all of our wonderful USBE staff on the webinar, so um, make sure that you know all their lovely faces. So you guys, one more time, if you can open up your cameras and make sure everyone can see you and know who you are, that would be great. Before we get started today, I want to just remind you that sadly this is our last webinar for the 25-26 school year. We've really enjoyed doing these webinars over the past 2 years, and we want to let you know that you can always access the recordings and materials for these videos on the prevention website and on our YouTube channel. If you ever missed any of them, if you want to go back and review them, they're there for you. Also, in case you're wondering, we do plan on continuing the webinars next year. We've already gotten started planning, so we want to let you know that they will continue to be on the third Thursday of the month from 12 to 1, with the exception of August and October, which they will be the last Thursday of the month in August and October. So mark your calendars, and we hope you'll continue to join us. If you have ideas for topics that you'd like us to cover on the webinars, we'd love for you to just put those in the chat so we can use them as we continue our planning. And now, without further ado, we can get started on today's webinar. I know you're all anxious to hear about the Check and Connect mentoring program, along with other effective strategies to improve student
Check and Connect.
So today's presenters are two of the most passionate people I know about these topics. Garrett Russell and Amanda Charlesworth is joining us today from our USBE attendance and YIC team. Garrett is our USBE attendance specialist, one of them, and Amanda is the Check and Connect program specialist. As always, feel free to put your questions and comments in the chat, and we'll make sure to address them at the appropriate time. So now I'll turn it over to you, Garrett and Amanda.
Awesome. Thank you, Tanya. I'm actually going to get us started and then I will go ahead and pass to Garrett. All right, friends, let me just get a screen share started. Oh, and of course it's on the same screen now that Zoom is on. Bear with me just a moment. There we go. All right. Thank you for that. Sorry about the technology issues. Like Tanya said, I'm Amanda Charlesworth, Program Specialist with Check and Connect. So I'm going to do a quick overview of the program and then I'll pass to Garrett to get into some more details. So to give you some history on Check and Connect in Utah, we actually brought the program to Utah in 2014 specifically to work with our youth and care students. And just anecdotally, at that time, our graduation rates were around 30–40%. And as of this school year, we're hovering above 60. So just so you guys know that. In 2018, we actually started our first contract with the National Check and Connect office. So in 2014, we trained everybody and said, go do. In 2018, we realized that we needed to have some statewide coordination. So that's where that contract came in. And of course, the benefit for all the school districts and charter schools in Utah is that you don't have to pay the approximate $500 per person training fee to participate in Check and Connect training in Utah, since the state board maintains that contract. And we did just renew it this year through 2030. So after the contract was in place, it became very apparent that the agency needed to create the position I now hold, which is the Check and Connect program specialist position. So I lead all of the professional learning statewide and am available for technical assistance related to the program. In 2023, we added on the support of one of the attendance specialists, like Tanya said, Garrett Russell. And this was because Check and Connect had expanded in a few districts outside of the youth and care umbrella. And so we were just coming along with that support from the state as well. So that is the history of Check and Connect in Utah so far. This is who Check and Connect is serving in our youth and care programs. So Utah has 26 programs statewide, and we do have Check and Connect in all of those programs currently, and that's just the map to give you an idea. The prevention programs are a little what are fewer in numbers, but that's because they've only had a couple school years to get the ball rolling. But these are the current school districts that are prevention, or excuse me, participating in Check and Connect under the prevention umbrella. So, what is Check and Connect? Check and Connect is a data-driven, structured mentoring intervention that it was created at the University of Minnesota. It is awesome because it is a model that is flexible enough to adapt to your individual students, but has enough structure to really maintain um, engagement with school. And that's really what this is about, is to help students feel engaged at school, help them learn or be able to focus on learning. And what we do with our mentors is teach them, if your students are at risk, to help them with evidence-based interventions such as goal setting or problem solving, or they might need some intensive interventions just based on their data. So, the four core components of Check and Connect, if we were doing one of my trainings, you'd have the fun little copywritten graphic of the puzzle pieces. That's really the way I like to think of these four core components. So, you have dedicated mentors. These are staff members who are typically parapros, variety of educators. Just depends on how the district has decided to assign out mentoring. And then on a weekly basis, those mentors are going to go in and collect the check data. So that check data is specific to attendance, behavior, and educational progress or course performance. So the ABCs of Check and Connect. Once they have all that data collected, they're going to go in and meet with their students weekly, which is that Connect meeting. And this is a non-negotiable. They need to have a weekly meeting where they go in, go over that data, based on the data, work with the student to problem solve or whatever needs to take place to connect them to the school, engage with teachers, etc. And then that leads to the fourth component, which is the engagement piece. And so in Utah, that can look a little different because we are serving our youth and care population as well as students in prevention. But primarily that's engaging with the parents and guardians or foster families that are supporting our students. But this also includes educators. So there are four domains the mentors keep track of as far as engagement goes, and educators is one of the pieces. All right, the cool part about Check and Connect is it fits in with an existing initiatives that you are already have going on in your schools, and Garrett's going to talk about that a little more later. The important thing to note here is where Check and Connect really lives. So Check and Connect is really a tier 2 intervention. So this is not an intervention that you want to go after your students who are tier 3 and really not attending because, like I said, they need to have that weekly meeting as part of the model and fidelity of the program. And if the students aren't there to meet with, that presents a huge barrier for them. So you want to look at the students who are still attending enough or whatever the criteria is that you're looking at to make sure you're staying in that tier 2 area so that you're not trying to apply it to students who won't be successful with the program. The other amazing thing about Check and Connect is it is the only evidence-based mentoring program. It has met the standards for the What Works Clearinghouse both in 2006 and 2015. And I don't have a slide for it just yet, but Utah has done its own data study, and we actually have our own data that now proves Check and Connect, if our mentors follow the model, is successful, and we see significant improvements in student outcomes. If you want to learn more about it, you're welcome to hop on the What Works Clearinghouse website. Both of those studies are there for you, and the Utah information will probably be coming early next school year or sometime this summer. One of the core beliefs of Check and Connect is once students are disengaged from school, that the mentor can intervene with that consistent weekly connection and that the student will re-engage with school. Check and Connect defines student engagement as commitment to and investment in learning, identification, and belonging at school. So the mentors are not only going to talk about attendance, behavior, and course performance, but they're really going to talk to your students about how to feel connected and belong or identified to and belong at school. All right, so the check data procedures are apparently animated. Let me click them in here for us. So this is the systematic monitoring of the level of engagement of student progress. It's a non-negotiable part of Check and Connect, so all of your mentors will need access to your student information systems, as well as any behavior reporting systems, etc. And this is really essential because the mentors need that data to know how to help the students on a weekly basis. And again, this all revolves around our ABCs, which are the attendance, behavior, and course performance. Our Connect procedures for our weekly meetings. Like I said, this is an intentional meeting. We ask mentors to set a specific and time and location for consistency, but vary that at the same time. So they're not always pulling little Johnny out of second on period on Tuesday, but maybe they vary between Tuesday and Thursday, etc. But just that weekly visit is the consistency. The intent of that visit is it should be data informed. We're looking at those check pieces to tailor the support and really determine what the student needs. This also helps with that engagement piece to provide strategic communication so we can be specific when the mentors reach out to the adults in their lives and let them know exactly what needs to be handled or addressed for the student to progress instead of just that general feedback that's not very valuable. And really, it helps with the collaborative growth. If all of the adults are on board and know what the goals are for the student, it really helps them move forward and accomplish those goals. And then what we also love about Check and Connect is having that connect meeting with the student builds that relationship and allows mentors to build relationships with families as well and help connect them to the school and community resources as in addition. So for Check and Connect mentors, on average, their task and time per student is about an hour per week. This does not look like an hour meeting per week. This is all of the things a mentor would do for a student within that week. So it's collecting that check data, making time for the Connect meeting, also making time to go in and document what took place during that Connect meeting and maybe follow up with anything that needs to be done for the student, as well as that communication with the adults in their lives. So with Check and Connect, every weekly meeting is considered a basic intervention. Like I said, the intention is the mentors are going to talk about data and provide feedback, as well as discussing staying in school and problem solving and communicating with adults. And what I like to do is remind our mentors you don't have to sit down with data, you build this into a conversation. In fact, some of our youth and care mentors have been serving kindergarten students as of late, and it's been really fun to hear from mentors about how they've been creative to weave data into their conversations with some of the younger students. Now, that said, this really is a secondary ed intervention, but I just wanted to add that to the conversation because you can talk about data with students in a pretty casual way, but still make it very meaningful. Now, if that data does show that the student is having some early warning signs of disengagement or dropout, that is when the mentor is going to implement intensive interventions. So this is specific to the problem. It's going to be targeted, time bound. It's intended to fix a skill or a gap, such as if you have a student who's having a hard time getting to school on time, and there's a transportation issue, perhaps the school can provide a bus pass and that mentor will track it to see if that has improved the student's attendance. When we train the Check and Connect model, it's 2-day training for your mentors, and these are some of the mentor tools and strategies that we go over in the training. And then we have taken some deeper dives on the webinars that our team offers as well. But this is really the meat and potatoes of what the mentors will be doing with the students. And like I said, what we teach them in the 2-day training. I've said it a few times, I'll say it again. One of the core components is family engagement. And these are the 4 ways that Check and Connect encourages mentors to interact with families. We've had a lot of really good progress in this arena this school year, and it's been really fun to hear back from some of the mentor coordinators when families have come back and shared about how their mentors helped them in addition to their student. All right, with that, I think it is Garrett's turn.
Awesome. Thanks, Amanda. So from here on, I'm going to kind of connect, check and connect with attendance and how that's utilized, and then dive into what we offer at the State Board of Education to support you with attendance. So one of the first things that we kind of get asked a lot when we look at check and connect is it the same as check in, check out? Obviously, the names are fairly similar, but they're two very different support systems. So check in, check out looks at improving mild to moderate behavior. It's a short term, like 2 to 4 month intervention assigned to a staff person. And then there's a daily point report. So you want that student to be able to check in sometimes in the morning and afternoon, but typically at least in the morning. And then it's going to be based on immediate feedback and positive reinforcement for meeting specific goals. But you just still want family participation. So the main difference really being that short term and then the immediacy of the response. Check and Connect is a long-term intervention. So it's designed to be implemented over 2 years. That allows you to build a relationship with a student and their families. We know that students that disengage kind of ebb and flow through the system, and anything could set them off and get them back on or off track for graduation. And having that mentor stay long term allows them to re-engage and help get that student back on track. So if you're looking at Check and Connect, just remember that this is a 2 year intervention. It does focus on improving grades, behavior, and attendance. And by grades, we also look at like credit accrual for high school. We assign the student a mentor, and that mentor stays with them, obviously, as long as the staff stays employed for that entire 2 years. The consistency is really important. There's a weekly monitoring instead of a daily. And then it's based on building relationships, developing ongoing connections and trust. It's very high in family engagement instead of just a little participation. And then we really want more capacity building and problem solving to be developed over that 2 year intervention. Next slide, please. All right, so looking at attendance and Check and Connect, that's kind of like my wheelhouse, so I like to bring that in there. But first, I kind of wanted to connect on the protective factors. I know that you guys have probably heard about this a lot when you do trainings with Tanya and her team. But looking at like concrete supports, clearly Check and Connect is a concrete support that's available for students. It grows social connections by developing those relationships. We are definitely focused on the cognitive and emotional sides of that student's development as we're building that out long term. And then just the social competence. We're giving them more self-advocacy skills. We're building a lot of that self-efficacy and just making the student a better all-around human being and building that trust and also supporting the family as well. So kind of bringing it back to that protective factors focus that you guys talk about a lot in these. But switching back to attendance, it is definitely a tier 2 intervention for attendance. Some of our more established programs will look at tier 3. But if you're looking at bringing this into your district, we definitely recommend tier 2 specifically for attendance. If the kid's not there, you really can't do the intervention. So when they're not attending like 30% or more days, that you really can't do this intervention. So look at those kids in between the 10 to 20%. They're still chronic absenteeism students, but not severely chronically absent. More than 20%, like we said, is really hard to engage. But as you work on other interventions to decrease those attendance issues, then you can start to look at giving them a mentor that can work with them long term. Next slide, please. All right, so looking at what we provide at the state board to support LEAs and schools with attendance. Next, please. So I've been here about 3 years. A year and a half ago, we released an attendance toolkit. This toolkit is designed to help superintendents or building administrators that are looking to start that first step of developing your attendance system. So it kind of breaks it down into 5 categories. We add the sixth one because it's board rule and legislation, and that changes constantly. So we want to keep you updated. But the first step is developing an attendance team, a specific group that's looking at attendance consistently. And then how to engage all of your stakeholders besides just like your faculty, parents, students, and community partners. Our third step is looking at data and how you can leverage that so that you're able to create subgroups and start identifying students that might need intervention. Our fourth section is about MTSS structures. A lot of people have these already in place for your behavior systems, for academics, but now developing this with an attendance focus. And then the fifth one is just figuring out how you can reflect, adjust, and celebrate. And that is not just for students, but also for your staff and your system as a whole. What are you doing well? What can you change? What can you do to continue to move forward? The link is here. I think Tanya said that these slides will be shared out. This is also on our website, and my contact information is at the end. So if you ever have questions on this, feel free to reach out. Next slide, please. We also provide webinars. These are bi-monthly. This year we already are done. So our last one was on May 4th, but these are all recorded. They are on our website. We have a YouTube channel, but we are going to have our next ones coming up starting in July. So we'll have our lineup. We have a lot of great guest presenters. It's a really cool attendance focus. We have a lot of questions. And so we love feedback. We would love to see what it is you guys are asking about attendance too, so we can best support that. Next one, please. And then we also have a monthly attendance newsletter. My teammate, Megan Menlove, she's the one who oversees the newsletter. Her contact information is right there. If you'd like to get added to that, we're sending out current research, articles, best practices. There's quite a bit of information that comes out each month. So if you're looking just to find out more around attendance, and even our webinars are listed in there when they're upcoming, reach out to Megan and she'll get you put on that listserv to get those newsletters. Next slide. And then this last year, we launched the statewide attendance campaign. It's called the Everyday Count campaign. We did just get some funding for that. And so we actually met this week with an organization that's going to be helping us market that campaign. Hopefully you'll be able to see a little bit more of that coming out, but I'm going to talk about that through these next few slides. Next one, please. So why did we start this campaign? We know that chronic absenteeism is rising. It's nearly doubled in the last 10 years since before COVID to where we are now. We also know that messaging works. We partner with people across the nation through various states, and states that use clear positive attendance messaging see chronic absenteeism go down. And we also know that everybody plays a role. Students, families, schools, and communities need to partner together to improve attendance. So if we can have that continuity of the state board saying something to the district or charter down to the individual school, we're all on the same page, and that consistency really goes a long way. Next slide, please. Our goals, clearly, it's to reduce chronic absenteeism. We want that to go down. We want to increase our daily attendance rates. But I think the biggest one is just to raise awareness of the impacts of missing, and also the value of what you get in being in school as well. So if you're into these goals, we'll have another slide coming up, and you can figure out how you can help us out as well. Next slide. What we're doing to fuel the campaign, we have a statewide attendance challenge. We have a few districts that have started to hop onto this already. We have attendance ambassadors. This is where you guys can help us out by joining as an attendance ambassador. I'll talk about that here in a couple slides as well. But that creates us a support network for us. We also have monthly messaging, pre-created newsletters and social media posts that you can take from a Google Drive and put your own school's logos and information on, and then it matches what we're pushing out at the state board as well. We've created that Google Drive that also has LEA and school level resources and implementation tools, examples from other districts and schools. And it's all pre-created. It's there for you to borrow, make it your own, so you can push forward your attendance work and not have to recreate everything yourself. I already mentioned the attendance toolkit, but we also have customizable posters and flyers that you can also leverage. And then again, our ongoing webinars and professional learning around the campaign as well. Next slide. So if you want to join the statewide attendance challenge as a district, we have this QR code. It'll also be sent out in these slides. Next one. All right. These are some examples of the resources that are in that Google Drive that we've created for your schools and districts to take and kind of make their own. Next one. All right. So monthly newsletters and email messages. There's scripted messages that can go out each month that include to be included in your monthly newsletter, email, things like that that you're already sending home. Next one. And so these are some of the examples. You can repost these. They're going to match up with what we have. But mental health matters, everyday counts, join Utah State wide attendance campaign, tackle absenteeism before it grows, stronger together, supporting student attendance. Next slide. Some of our posters and flyers, we have attendance calendars. We have a How Sick is Too Sick flyer that we've partnered with our Nurses Association and our Department of Health to create. Some of our impacts of missing and how 2 days a month adds up to chronic absenteeism. And all of the like logos and everything like that can be modified. It's just an open source material. You can see some of the blank spaces for you to plug in your district information as well. Next slide. The statewide attendance drive has incentive ideas, examples of interventions, letters, whether that's the truancy letter or compulsory ed, or just friendly letters that you're sending home, messaging around the impacts of attendance and the value of school, some example policies, and we are also releasing a model policy that'll be coming out, or actually it just came out. And so you can use that to create your new policy, especially because we have constantly changing legislation. Teaming and agenda examples as you build up your attendance team, and then our toolkit and additional campaign information as well. All right, so attendance ambassadors, I'm hoping I can get a few of you guys to sign up for this. Next slide. So, an attendance ambassador is somebody that's working hard to promote students attending school. And then it's also somebody that knows about our campaign that I just talked to you about, and helps to spread the word throughout their school and community. A lot of the things that we're trying to push out, we've been creating on our own. We didn't have a budget for it. Other states have had like $3 to $5 million for their campaign. And so we just did it grassroots because we saw it as a need. So anybody that can help us spread the word can be an ambassador. Next slide. It's somebody that cares about students and their success in school and out of school. And it's also somebody that supports others by sharing the tools that I just shared with you, and pointing them to helpful attendance resources, or just me or Megan as the attendance ambassadors, and we can send that your way. Next slide. If you want to get involved, there is no commitment. There is no monetary thing that you have to contribute. Just reach out to Megan or scan this QR code. We'll get you signed up. And if you would like to, you can include a headshot and we will share out that you are an attendance ambassador, and then help us continue to push out this campaign and attendance information that we're sending out and recreating every single month as well. All right, next slide. So that was kind of our like information around attendance. This is our contact information. Amanda's the one who presented earlier. Our teammate Julia Armstrong is our YIC specialist and also one of our statewide Check and Connect trainers. If you haven't met her, she's amazing. Myself, and then my colleague Megan Menlove, who is the other attendance specialist, and she is also awesome. Everybody on this team is a great value. If you have any questions about attendance or Check and Connect, feel free to reach out. And then our website is listed there as well.
Hey Garrett, there's a question in the chat
Oh,
that
sorry.
says,
Yes.
that's all right. Are these more general or are they specific interventions / information for students with Section 504? The most significant problems my school has with attendance is from students with severe anxiety or medical problems.
So these are just general interventions that districts are utilizing. There's not like a specific one for a student with a 504. But they are like evidence-based and also interventions that some of our districts have created themselves that they were willing to share out so that others could try them. Um, we do know that, like, as even working with our national partners, that the number one thing that is improving attendance in a positive direction is community partnerships. And so, as you start to build those relationships, whether it's for demographic organizations so that you can get some input from them, mental health practitioners, bringing in social workers, therapists, counselors, anything like that. That is something that's going to be very beneficial for students and also continue to build that trust and show the value that schools have as our community hubs that are out there. I know that's not like a specific information or intervention, but just kind of a plug on the mental health aspect is helping to continue to map those resources out, what's available in your community, what's available at your district level, and then what's available at your school level, and then the route that people can access those things. So, what's the referral process? Who's the person that's the contact to get access to that for each of those students as well?
Awesome, thank you. And then there's another question, probably for Amanda. How much does it cost for a school to bring in the Check and Connect program?
It is.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, go ahead, Gary.
oh, sorry, go ahead, Amanda.
Okay. So, typically that is a tricky question. So, for YIC, we do have dedicated funding. I was actually going to pass it to you, Garrett, if you want to answer for attendance.
Yeah, so unfortunately with Check and Connect, I think Amanda had already said, like, we take on the contract at the state level, which provides for all the training, all the materials, all the professional development, and ongoing things that we provide as well. The one issue is that we don't have funding on the prevention side to pay for the mentors. And so, as if you're looking at bringing this on, there are various ways that districts are doing this around the state. Some are reclassifying paraeducators into this role or different positions. Some people are utilizing teachers. Our preferred method and the best method is to utilize like a dedicated mentor instead of somebody that has 8 other jobs, which in a school is not always possible. So we understand that as well and we'll help you out. Some people are looking at the prevention block grant, which is coming up. And so that's another way. It's not a guarantee, but as you're looking to apply for that, that's another resource. That's the one stumbling block is just where do we get the funding to pay for those things? If you're a charter school, I don't know who all here is from charters. We have 0 charter schools around the state that are utilizing Check and Connect. But we would be ecstatic if you wanted to figure out partnering with us and how we can help make this a possibility because that is an area that would be beneficial for all students. And Check and Connect is a great program. So I know it's a reach for some, but that's kind of the funding's the issue. We get that.
Yeah, I also want to add on that every district and charter receives the WPU at risk add on funds. And it's really specific, however, your LEA wants to use those. But these are students at risk of academic failure. And so I would encourage you to talk to your LEA and find out how those funds are being used and really put in a plug for, hey, we would really like to use some of those funds to bring Check and Connect in, because that pot is growing every year after the legislative session, and they added even more funding this past year. So again, highly encourage you to talk with your superintendencies or charter directors and your BAs about how that funding is being used, and maybe see if you can utilize some of that funding for this to bring in this Check and Connect program.
Tanya, I
Yeah,
thought
go
of a
ahead.
couple things to add. So, sorry, I've been doing this for 6 years and it gets a little blurry. So, some of the other ways when Check and Connect was expanding is some of our districts went to their foundations, presented what Check and Connect was, the success they'd had with their YIC programs, and then they were able to get some funding that way. We do also have a couple school districts who have applied to Department of Health and Human Services for some grant money to fund their mentor positions as well.
Yeah.
And I did see a question in there. What about training for mentors? We that's included. So we have a 2-day new mentor training That comes with all the manuals that they need for mentoring. And then we also have ongoing professional development that we do. And then we also have a yearly refresher training that we do for mentors as well. So we're kind of constantly reaching out. And then we have a Canvas course, administrator training that we just released, and then a 1 day preparation and implementation training for leadership.
Yeah, and that training again is free of cost. So the
Yep.
agreement that you make with us is we provide you with the training for your mentors, you provide us with the data so that we can be sure to gauge outcomes for this program, right? And so our goal would be we can have data to support expanding this program at some point, right? So that's the hope. Um, I would contact Amanda here, Charlesworth, if you're interested in. Thanks for putting your email in there, Amanda. If you're interested in learning more about the program, also look for information about upcoming next year's trainings um, in the prevention newsletter and also on our listserv. Um, and we also try to help support Garrett in his work as well and in pushing out information about the attendance campaigns and other things. Garrett, did you want to talk a little bit about your cohorts that you're doing?
Yeah, so we have already onboarded for the year on those. And that's kind of why we didn't throw it in this one because we've already reached kind of capacity on that. But as we get through the year, next year in the spring, we start identifying districts and charters based on their previous year's chronic absenteeism rate. It's a year-long learning cohort focused solely on attendance, systems development, and really foundational in the tier one aspect, but we do get into a little tier two and three as well as we start developing MTSS structures. It started out as 6 participants 4 years ago, and now we just finished onboarding 21 new, so we're up to almost 50 participants total. You're allowed to stay on continuing years. I think over 4 years, we've only lost 2 participants. But a lot of the stuff we cover we do in our webinars, but then we just get a lot more in depth as we start working with people. We also have schools or districts that reach out to us because they want to do the work. So it's not really that they have a high chronic absenteeism rate. We didn't reach out to them. There really isn't a mandate to engage in our work. So it's really cool because it becomes the coalition of the willing. And just that collaborative aspect, working with other people, identifying barriers, seeing what people are trying. A lot of attendance stuff right now feels like we're throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping one of them sticks. And so you can start to hear from others about what's working for them and continue to push that work forward. So if you're interested in it, we do front load it mostly throughout the summer, just because we know once kids get back in the building, that systems work is not easy and you don't have a lot of time for it. So looking into next year, you can reach out to me or Megan Menlove, and we can work on getting you added to that. For the rest of this year, though, looking at our webinars and hopping on those. And then we also just do individual support as well. So if you reach out, we're available to support you. I get to be the statewide attendance dork. So you have like a million hats. I really only focus on one thing. And that's what we want to do is help you out however we can.
All right, are there any other questions? And feel free to open your mic if you have one. All right, fantastic. Garrett and Amanda, thank you so much for joining us today and for sharing that information. I just want to thank you all for joining us today and anytime over the last year for our webinar series. This is our last one, as I said before. Our next webinar will be on August 27th from noon to 1. Please look for information through our listserv and newsletter on how to sign up and register for our series for next school year. Other than that, we're going to let you guys get out of here a couple minutes early and have some time to eat lunch and maybe enjoy these last couple days before school gets out. And I really just want to wish you all a wonderful summer break for what little you get of it. So we know you guys continue to work over the summer, so thank you all.